Hi folks, welcome to Learners Hub. This is Alvin for you. In this video, you are going to learn about the velocity analysis by instantaneous center method. Before we start the problems, we are going to learn the introductory concepts about this instantaneous center. After we understand this thoroughly, in the next video, you will learn about how we are going to find out the instantaneous centers for simple mechanisms what you find in kinematics of machines. Let's get into the video. So here we are. So the most important thing in kinematics is that we do the velocity analysis for the links or the bodies that are in motion. We are not concerned about the force that is acting in order to create that motion, but we are more concerned about how this motion is occurring and what is the velocity and acceleration of the body. So we are more interested in this velocity analysis. So one of the methods that is used in kinematics to find out this velocity of a moving body in a mechanism is called as instantaneous center method. So before we get into that instantaneous center method, let us see an example. So if you just consider a wheel, which is wheel of an automobile, which is actually rolling over the linear floor or road, right? So the wheel is just rotating on the floor. There is actually two types of motions happening with respect to that wheel. One is that the wheel is rotating, at the same time the wheel is moving in the forward direction. So this forward direction motion can be called as the linear motion, and the wheel rotating will be considered as a rotational motion. So basically speaking, not just the wheel that is rotating, any mechanism which has the links, which has some motion, it will always have the combination of both the motions. It will have rotation motion as well as the linear motion. So both these combined together will be the motion occurring in any scenario. So now let us see an example where you're going to have a link which is subjected to both rotation as well as linear. We'll not consider a wheel, we'll just consider a much more simpler link. Okay, so you all know the meaning of link. It is rigid body which does not deform, right? So we'll just assume a simple link. I'll just name that link as A, B. So if we just say that the link AB is actually having some motion during a mechanism, this link is subjected to a mechanism, so there is a motion happening in that particular mechanism. So this link will move from its initial position, say it is going to move to some other position, which I will just write it as A1, B1. So it is the same link which is actually shifted to another position. So if you just consider this one, we can just make this in the form of two different motions, as I mentioned, rotation and linear. If I just say that the point A is moving linearly, point B is also moving linearly, so this will be the first position by moving linearly. So let us just assume this position as A1 and P1 dash. So after this linear motion has happened, there will be a rotation. So now you see in this, there is going to be a linear motion as well as a rotational motion. It is simply like this. You have the link AB, first it moves linearly and then it rotates in order to get the new or the final position A1, B1. We can also assume this in one more way. Say the same link AB if I am considering. Let us say that first there is rotational motion. So rotational motion is from point P. So it attains a new position B1 dash. So this is a new position of the link, and then it has, say, we'll just assume that then it is going to have a linear motion. This will be the final position of the link, which we'll name it as A1, B1. So this was the initial position of the link, and this is the final position of the link. We can assume this movement of the link AB from AB to A1, B1 in two manners. We can assume either linear and then rotational, or else we can assume rotational and then linear. The thing is that rotational and linear motion happens together for any link. Now practically speaking, this movement is so gradual, you will not have this movement linear and rotational or rotational and linear. This movement of AB to A1, B1 will happen so quickly that we can't separate these two motions as linear and rotational. The movement of link will be just like that. So that is from AB to A1, B1. It will not happen gradually, rotation and then linear. This will not happen. So in order to understand this in a much better way for the analysis purpose, what we do here is we are going to assume this motion from AB to A1 B1 pure rotational motion. So when we assume this as a pure rotational motion, what comes into picture when we talk about rotation is the center. Because if any object or link has to rotate, it must possess a center. Based on that center only, the rotation will happen. It is so gradual that we can't split up the motion in actual practice. So in actual practice, what happens is movement of link from one position to another is going to be a pure rotation. So when we take it as a pure rotation, it is going to have a center of rotation. This center of rotation, what is going to be formed by assumption of pure rotation, is called as the instantaneous center. This instantaneous center is obtained by assuming the movement of link as pure rotation. So now we'll just understand this instantaneous center in a much more better way. We'll just consider the same example, the movement of link AB from initial position to a new position A1 B1. Now this movement of link, as I already mentioned, it is a combination of rotation and linear, but it is so gradual that you can't split it up. So what is going to happen is pure rotation. This rotation is going to happen based on a center which is called as instantaneous center. So this is a rotation, this is a rotation. What I meant to say is that the points in the link is going to have pure rotational motion. So this rotation will have a center. You are able to identify that center by bisecting the chord A1 and B1. So we have a chord here formed because of this rotation. So this is a chord A1, this is a chord B1. So when we bisect this chord exactly at the midpoint, you just need to draw a perpendicular line. So now to identify the center of this rotation, we need to draw the bisectors from chord AA1 and the chord BB1. So locate the midpoint, and when you draw a bisector in the sense this should be at 90 degrees. Same way you draw a bisector for BB1 from its midpoint, which is actually perpendicular to the chord BB1. This is going to intersect somewhere here. This center of rotation is nothing but the instantaneous center of this particular link. So this is the instantaneous center. All of you note that the word instantaneous is given here because this center exists only for this particular instant. What is the particular instant? The link AB has moved from AB to A1 B1. For this position of the link from AB to A1 B1, this will be the center of rotation. So say if the motion of the link is changing rapidly, the point or the center of that rotation will also keep on changing. What I mean to say is, for every instant of the movement of that link, you will get different centers. That is the reason why we name this center as instantaneous center. Now, number of such instantaneous centers, say this is a one type of motion for the link. For another different type of motion, if A1 B1 is somewhere appearing in between here, you will get another IC here, right? So by the time it is moved from AB to A1 B1, it is infinite number of points what this link is actually tracing. For every point of that position of that link in between AB and A1 B1, you are going to get different ICs. Maybe somewhere here you will get number of ICs based on the movement of that particular link. So when you connect all those instantaneous centers, you are going to get some locus. That locus is called as centroid. So centroid is simply the joining or the locus of the instantaneous center for the particular motion of that link. Now let us discuss the properties of IC before we actually use IC to find out the velocities. So one of the major property of IC is that this IC changes with respect to the orientation of the mechanism, right? As I already mentioned, the instantaneous center exists only for that particular motion of the link from one position to another. If you take any other position of that right? The properties of IC says that the instantaneous center changes with configuration. As we already discussed, when you have a different motion for the link, the IC also will be of a different position. So remember that the instantaneous center is a center only for that particular instant. As you change the configuration, the position of that IC will also shift. So the second property of IC is that if you have, IC itself is the center of rotation. So you don't say, all the time you will have rotation and linear motion combined together in a link. In some cases you will have the link purely as a straight line mechanism. Say for example, if you assume a slider crank mechanism, if this is a fixed point and we have a slider which is sliding on the floor here, so this slider will have perfectly linear motion. This slider will never possess a rotational motion. So if you have completely straight line motion, then the point IC will be found at infinity. For a straight line, the radius of curvature lies at infinity, which means that the instantaneous center also lies at infinity, and the center should lie somewhere here in the infinity. Now the third property is that instantaneous center is simply a point about which the link is actually rotating. Say for example, here we have a fixed link. If I name this as link number 1, here I have a link number 2. This link number 2 is actually rotating with respect to 1, which means that the IC will always be named with a double point. Why it is double point? Because IC is simply the center or a point about which one link rotates with respect to the another. As we saw here, link 2 is rotating with respect to link number 1, which means that I should name this instantaneous center as I12. So you will always get the ICs with double points, I12 or I23 or IXY and likewise. Next thing, the property you note here is that the instantaneous center is simply a zero velocity point. Why? Because as I mentioned, instantaneous center exists only for that particular instant of motion of the link. So the instantaneous center will never move. The thing is that for different position of the link motion, you will have different instantaneous center. So the instantaneous center will never have any motion. So it is a zero velocity point. Now remember, this instantaneous center may lie in the body or outside the body. So whenever you find the instantaneous center found inside the link, do not have confusion. Now by using this IC method, that is when we know the instantaneous center for that particular link, we will be able to find the velocity at any point in the body. You have a link like this. If I know the velocities at point A and B, right, I can find the velocity of any point in between. If I want to find the velocity of point C, I will be able to find it with the help of the velocities at two different points. So these are some of the properties of the instantaneous centers which you remember as we are using it to find out the velocities. As we saw the last point or the last property of IC, you will be able to find the velocity of any point in between the link if you know the velocities at the two different points. Let's assume a simple link AB. Now let us assume that we know the velocities at these 2 points. So velocity at A will be VA and velocity at B will be considered as VB. Using these two velocities, velocity at point A and velocity at point B, we will be able to find out the velocity of any point in between this link. Let us assume that the velocity VA is acting at an angle of alpha with respect to the link. So this is the link position, right? So let us assume the velocity VA is acting at an angle alpha. In the same manner, let us assume that the velocity VB is acting at an angle of beta with respect to the line of the link, right? Now then, if the angle is alpha with respect to velocity VA, the velocity component along the length of the link will be written as VA cos alpha. That is the velocity that is acting along the direction of the link or along the length of the link. In the same manner, if we write the velocity component with respect to Vb acting along the length of the or acting along the line of the link, we will get it as Vb cos beta. Now if we know the direction and magnitude of the velocity Va, and if we know the direction of velocity Vb, then we will be able to find out the magnitude of Vb using IC method. So we will be able to find out the magnitude of Vb, what is it, with the help of the direction magnitude of Va and the direction of Vb, using which method? IC method. Now how do we do that? To do that, we just need to find out the instantaneous center first. To find out the instantaneous center, you simply draw a perpendicular line with respect to the direction of velocity Va. Also draw a perpendicular line from the direction of Vb. Where it intersects, that will be the instantaneous center for this particular link, right? As we discussed previously, this link during motion in a mechanism will have complete rotation as well as translation in order to move its position from its initial position to some other position. Now, according to the assumption what we made, we are going to assume that this link is going to have pure rotation only. So this pure rotation is going to happen with respect to the point instantaneous center. Now since this is rotating, so we are assuming this link to be purely rotated, there exists angular velocity of the link, omega. So this angular velocity is given by the linear velocity divided by the distance between the point and the center of rotation. So when we write the expression considering this, the value of omega will be given by V divided by R. Hence we get the value of V as omega into R. You can assume this as equation number 1. Now when we apply this equation 1 with respect to point A, Va equal to omega into the center of rotation or the radius of rotation for point A is from the point I to A. This is the radius of rotation for point A. So we will get omega into Ia. Similarly, when we write it for point B, you are going to get the value of Vb as omega multiplied by I into B. Hence, using this we get the value of omega as Va divided by Ia, and in the same manner you get omega equal to Vb divided by Ib. So when you compare these two equations, we can write the value of omega as Va divided by Ia equal to Vb divided by Ib. Ib is the distance of point B from the center of rotation, that is I to B. If you have, say for example, if I assume any point in between here as x, there is a point x. If I want to find out the velocity at point x, that is Vx, I can find it out just by connecting the point x to the center of rotation at this particular instant. At this particular instant, the center of rotation of x will be I itself, because any point you take on the link, it will have the same instantaneous center. So for Vx, we can write it continuously. So that will be given by velocity Vx divided by the distance of point from the center of rotation, that is I to x. Likewise, you name any other point here, y, connect it to y. So the center of rotation of point y will be Iy. If you want to find out velocity Vy, then we can write it Vy divided by Iy. So according to this expression, what is known here in the beginning is direction of Va, magnitude of Va, and we also know the direction of Vb. If you know that much, we will be able to write the value of Va is known, Ia is known, the value of Ib is known. Hence we will be able to find out the velocity at point B. if you know the value of omega. In the same manner, you can find out the velocities at different points, because this is directly obtained by measuring it from the point to the center of rotation, which will be doing it geometrically. So this is the expression you need to remember in order to find out the velocity of the link at its end point as well as anywhere in between the rigid body. So for any combination of links, you know how many number of instantaneous center exists for that particular link and mechanism. That could be found out mathematically, which we have an expression. Value of n is nothing but the number of links present in the mechanism. Using this formula, you can find out what is the number of instantaneous centers that you are going to find for that particular mechanism. Say if you have a 4-bar chain, so the number of links will be equal to 4. So what will be the number of ICs? We can find it out by substituting it in this formula. So that is going to be 6. So for this 4-bar chain, you are going to find 6 instantaneous centers. The types of instantaneous centers are, you are going to find 3 types of instantaneous centers, which we are going to name them as fixed instantaneous centers, permanent instantaneous centers, neither fixed nor permanent instantaneous centers. Out of these 3 types, these first 2 are called as primary instantaneous centers, and this one will be called as the secondary instantaneous center. Now let us learn more about this fixed instantaneous, permanent, neither fixed nor permanent, why these 2 are called primary instantaneous center, why this is called secondary instantaneous center. We'll have a look at all this once we get into the problem in the next video. For any doubts or clarifications, you can drop a comment or contact me through my mail ID.